am in central North Carolina, growing zone 7B. I'm making these garden tours every week for my dad. Hey Dad! So that he can see how the garden's coming along. He was really impressed with it and interested in it last summer when he was here, so I'm going to try to keep him up to date until he comes back to visit again. So let's get into the tour. It's been pretty cold, and by cold I mean it's been in the 60s, so for this time of year in North Carolina it's on the cooler side. And we have had some rain on and off and some really cool nights down in the 40s, so all of these squash plants they're coming along, but they're coming along slowly. So despite the cooler temperatures, especially the cooler overnight temperatures, these tomatoes, which you can see, this is some of the damage from, transplant. They were a little nutrient deficient and had gotten pretty leggy before I put them in the garden, but they're putting on a lot of lush green growth, very healthy. Tells me that they are perfectly happy in this garden, perfectly happy with the temperatures we're having. They're just growing a little slower, so I'm looking forward to tomatoes. This will be my green beans this year. They'll all grow up and over the top of this trellis, and I'll plant something on the other side to meet them up in the middle. Maybe some more green beans, but probably some squash. So they're coming up good. I have this one space from here to here where, there should be this many green beans. I'm not sure quite what happened. I still have like this one in the corner. So they're still coming up slow, but I think I'm gonna stick a couple more seeds in there today. I try to grow enough green beans so that I can can them for the year. And for me, it really doesn't take that much. I'm not raising a large family anymore. So, just this little bit of couple rows of green beans on one arch trellis usually gives me quite a few green beans, and I can can up however many, quart size or pint size jars, usually pint size jars that I want through the year. I just pressure can them and keep them in my pantry, and they're so delicious. A little bit of salt, perfect. Last week I was really worried about my sweet potato slips. I think they look like they're bouncing back a little bit. I'm trying to be really careful with them. I'm probably gonna try to get them in the ground today, and I'll just cover them if they need to be, if it gets too cold. But I think our temperatures are up where they should be for this time of year from here on out. I have some more peppers and tomatoes. These are all peppers that need to go in. I may try to get those in today. We may wait another week or so on those. We have a couple more 40-degree nights coming up, and peppers don't really care to be below 50, so they may need to go into the garage. Now this broccoli, on the other hand, is loving these colder temps that we're having. All of this mini broccoli is starting to get little heads on it, and it'll grow up some little side shoots. Like this one right here has a little side shoot. This is the one that I harvested last weekend. So these are looking great, and this is just my regular broccoli, and I don't see any real broccoli crowns starting to come up on these, but they have really grown since last week, so I'm happy with that progress. I mulched in the blueberry plants. Try to start retaining some water in for them because the temperatures are going to warm up, so that I don't have to water them quite so much. They are loaded with blueberries. I'm going to get these covered hopefully this weekend, and so I will get most of these blueberries and not the birds. This is the cilantro that was just kind of volunteer. It had fallen in the pathway. There's another one right there from last year when I was pulling them out of the garden bed behind. They were growing kind of where the collards and kale is growing right now. So I leave these, especially when they're not in the way of anything else, because the tiny pollinators, like the little hoverflies and things like that, just love these kinds of flowers where they give it just tiny little flowers and they give it just this little flat surface. You'll see lots of little tiny pollinators all over this, just not today because it's just wet and cool out right now, but they'll be here by the end of the day. I'll let these volunteer sunflowers go, and then all of this is pollinator garden too. Comfrey and goldenrod and strawflowers and yarrow. Starting to get some buds on these elderberries. They're a little bigger than they were last week. I think it needs to get just a touch warmer. We should be a little bit warmer this week, so hopefully this will start taking off, because this is the most fragrant plant that I have in the garden. I just love it when it's in bloom. You can smell it just walking through the yard. My black raspberries are really starting to take off. I have about 3 canes on each of these plants leaned up against these trellises, and they're all starting to put out all these fruiting branches. All of these will turn into little black cap raspberries, and they will be so delicious to eat fresh and to make into syrups and jams. I'm so excited to harvest fruit this year. Started thinning out the dill and dehydrating some of it, and I'm gonna get on this oregano today and start drying some of it. I'm hoping to have really a year's supply of a lot of these herbs. That sage, this oregano, those onion chives. Those onion chive blossoms are good if you mix them, kind of infuse them in with a vinegar. You can make an onion chive vinegar. I'm not 100% sure I'm gonna get around to that, but it's on my list of possibilities. Isn't this beautiful? It is, oh, it's so green. I just love it. This little patch right here is my favorite. These little strawberries, these are runners from my original plants, and I put them in here in my asparagus bed, and they are sending off runners, so I'm gonna let those grow. I won't really get much fruit off of these this year, but I'm gonna let a few of their runners go so that they can put strawberries down on top of this asparagus bed, and it'll help kind of keep this mulched in a little bit, and asparagus and strawberries grow really well together. So these beautiful plants are my potato plants. The ones with this pretty red are, I think they're called mountain rose red potatoes. They're a small red skin potato with a little bit of red marbling on the inside flesh too. And then these pretty green ones are just a standard Yukon Gold. So they're all looking really good. I came in right before the rain yesterday and added one more thick layer of straw, and that's all that I will do to these. They'll just go and grow. Have a little, let me walk over here. This is a chamomile plant that's getting ready to bloom. It's just a volunteer, so some seed got over here and it's growing. They always grow the best. The ones that I grew from seed aren't anywhere near this far along. So the last thing I'll show y'all today is my milkweed. These are coming up. I don't see any monarch eggs on them yet. I've had monarchs on them in the past. I didn't have any last year. They got hit by the bugs really fast, but I have this little patch and then this little patch over here. It looks like there's another one coming up in the back. They are not as prolific as they were. I can't remember the variety that this is, but I do want to just try to get some common milkweed to plant around and see if if that helps the resiliency of it, and so we can have it come back year after year and help those butterflies. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you for following along. This garden has just been my sanctuary for the last few years, and I really enjoy sharing it with everybody who wants to learn how to garden, just wants to watch people garden. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next week.